Okay, so we are continuing. Number 4. It's kind of hard to read. Jada or Judah, I don't know what this is. Okay, this is Jada. Jada walks up to a tank of water and they can hold up to 10 gallons. When it's active, a drain empties water from the tank at a constant rate. When Jada first sees the tank, it contains 7 gallons of water. 4 minutes later, tank contains 5 gallons of water. Okay, so we have a different time frame here. We'll say, I'll just make a table from 0 to, what is it? Initially, when t equals 0, it had a 7 gallons. Now don't forget that it has a 10 gallon capacity. Okay. If you want to fill up the maximum amount of water in this tank, it will take up 10 gallons. But it said initially she first sees a tank that's initially t equals 0 equals 7 gallons. And 4 minutes later, when t equals 4, the tank contains 5 gallons of water. So at what rate is the amount of water in the tank changing? Okay, so this is asking us to find the slope. And for us to find the slope, if a time is an independent variable and the gallons or the volume in the tank is a dependent variable, we're going to call this y and we're going to call this x. Or we can say t, but you get the idea. So change of y over change of t. How about that? I actually change, let's say v. Let's put it in the right context. But I already said that the volume is the dependent variable, so it's equivalent to what is that called? The dependent variable here. So I would say change of volume, which depends on the change of time. So that's our slope here. And I'm going to say 5 minus 7. Okay, on the top we have a gallon unit, and on the bottom we have 4 minus 0. It said it's in minutes, right? Minute. 4 minutes later, yes, so it's a minute. You need to write the unit, okay, whenever you have a rate question. So we have negative 2 over 4 gallon per minute, and that's equivalent to negative 1/2 gallon per minute. So what does it mean by it? So every single minute is losing a half a gallon. So if you go to your grocery market, you will see that 1 gallon milk, right? It's like half the size to drain it each minute. So if you let it go for 2 minutes, then the milk, the 1 gallon you buy, just equivalent volume will drain out in that 2 minutes. So water is changing at the rate of 1 gallon every 2 minutes. Okay, you know what? Okay, I think you lost the point. Again, I don't know what's the maximum score for 4A. You do need to mention that water is changing at the rate of you have to mention it's draining, it's losing, okay? And that's what this minus sign is implying. At the rate of, you might want to say negative 1/2 gallon per minute, but you can also say that, actually, you can also say 1 gallon for every 2 minutes. I don't know what the teacher actually decided to give you only, is that out of 2 or 1.5, but hopefully you understood that there is a negative sign here. Again, that's because we are draining. See, we start with 7, now we end up 5. Part B, no credit given here. How many more minutes will it take for the tank to drain completely? So meaning the volume equals 0. So for us to get that, let's get the equation. So 4B, the equation we need to write. Okay, we can start with mx plus b, except that it's not the y anymore, it's a v, and it's not x anymore, it's t. We can set it up. We know that the slope equals negative 1/2 t, b equals, okay, this is a y-intercept. Now we already know B here. He said he started the 10, which I forgot. Oh, actually no, we start with a 7. My bad. It did have a capacity of 10 gallon. I don't know if we have to use that, but okay, maybe in part C. So 1/2 T plus B, and initially it said 7 gallons. When you set T equals 0, then B has to be 7. So that's your y-intercept. Here you have an equation. Now from this, we need to find T when V equals 0, meaning when it's completely drained means the volume doesn't exist anymore. So 0 equals negative 1/2 T plus 7. And now we need to subtract 7 on both sides. And we get negative 1/2 T equals negative 7. Now to reverse this 1/2, we gotta multiply, it's a reciprocal and negative version because we need the positive answer. Multiply it by negative 2 on both sides. Okay, multiply it by negative 2. Then 2's cancel, negative cancel. The only thing you have left on the right side is T. Negative 2 times negative 7 will give you 14. So if you let it drain for next, or not next, I shouldn't say next. If I say next, it should be what 10 more minutes. Okay. Well, oh, actually, you know, it said how many more minutes? More minutes. So I'm gonna say 10 more minutes from the fourth minute. I shouldn't say fourth minute, right? It will be fifth minute. I'll say 10 more minutes will drain the rest of the tank. I think 10 more minutes should be good. If they say how many more minutes, instead of how many minutes, that means from that 4 minutes later. So we just gotta go 10 more minutes. So subtract 4 from total 14. This 14 was calculated from the very beginning. Okay, 10 more minutes. Okay, and part C, how many minutes before Jada arrived was the tank completely full? Okay, so this is why they gave you that 10 gallon for this problem. Okay, so how many more minutes? So we're going backwards. So in other words, remember we started the graph with the 0.7. Okay, so we want to kind of go back. We have 14 here. 14,0. Okay, it's not drawn in scale, but you get the idea. So at one point there had to be 10 gallons. Okay, 10 gallons. Now all we need to do is go back to our equation. This is our equation. Let's write it down. V equals negative 1/2 T plus 7. And plug it in the 10 gallon where V is. So we get 10 equals negative 1/2 T plus 7. Now we're gonna get negative, and that's normal because we'll get a negative T. Okay, this is T, this is V. So let's look for a T here. Now that we set the V, the total capacity 10, subtract 7 on both sides. Now this is a very common mistake, and some of you just try to like multiply by negative 2. You can, but honestly, you are doing far less work if you just follow my way here. Do the do the term that has nothing to do with the variable. So plus 7, that's a separate term. Get rid of that before you touch anything that's associated with the variable. So the 7's are gone. 10 minus 7 is going to give you 3, and that's equal to negative 2, 1/2 T. And you just have to multiply both sides by negative 2, which is a reciprocal of negative 1/2. So that means we have T equals negative 6. So what does it mean? From the time she saw the 7 gallon volume, if you were to rewind 6 minutes prior to that, if you were to rewind it, we would expect, you know, the tank was full, assuming this rate of drain is constant. So the tank was completely full 6 minutes before. This word before implies a negative sign here. So 6 minutes.